What's up, non-refundable? KJW. Yep, AB is in the house. I am technically in the house, actually. What's up, guys? How we doing, family? Beautiful weather here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Waiting some more family members to come through. There we go. Look at him. Look at him. Thank you, Journey. Appreciate it. I take it as you're a fan. Cheeseheads. Derek A. Good afternoon, sir. How are you, brother? Long time no speak, Mr. Derek. Mr. Christopher Stead. How are you, brother? Hopefully you're having a great Friday and enjoying a good Cinco de Mayo. Tindies. Good evening, sir. Man, this beautiful weather, finally. Here in the Midwest, you know, Derek would know. Ooh. So I just opened up the coffee and it literally like just popped up. It exploded. It's all over me now. That's my Cinco de Mayo. I drink coffee. Miss Chase, how are you, ma'am? Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind sentiment. Yeah, some common sense to speak. Some cool but very quick live. I figured I haven't done a live in a while, and I wanna, catch up with the family. Whoever shows up, and speak some things that, or some tackle a few points that some of the fundamentalists, I would say, try to use as battling points. And I want to, just throw some cold eyes on some of these things, so that if you speak to someone who tries to speak to you and tell you, well, or use a point against you, like, hey, well, because we're such and such, I'll give you some common sense to counter those particular stupid. That's not my style. I don't say that. So retract that. No stupid. Just to take away any nonsense points that some people try to manipulate you with, and claiming that they are, like valid points into the fundamentals world. Brok-a, how are you? Uh-oh, you the man? Well, officially, I'm gonna tell you, happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you for the love. I love you too. Chill out, popcorn project, right? You the man. Can you also do some vids on how to contest settlement for viewers? You got it, you the man. I'll jump into that probably sometime, if I could, this weekend. Probably by Monday, I would dive heavy into it. Like today, I just literally came back from the hospital. I had like a lot of like some old injuries, especially with my shoulder right here, and then my right side of the neck. From playing football back in the days, it's catching up with them, man, now. But all good. Nothing too restraining or anything. Just some things that I have to, get over and do some physical therapy for and stuff like that, and get through with it. Although I don't believe in the physical therapy route, I feel like that, being an ex-athlete like you, I've never ever went to physical therapy and felt like they did something that was useful. Nothing against physical therapy. I felt like they, from a person who was always used to putting hard strain on my body. When you go to physical therapy, it'll tell you do this and do that 3 times, 10 times a day, and it's like slight stuff like move your leg up, back and forth 10 times, and it's just not as much action. Now that I'm getting older, in age, obviously, as a hopefully still as a young man, now I'm understanding that you got to use that a lot more than just technically, action and heavyweights and whatever. Popcorn. Everybody's talking about popcorn project. Okay, so I didn't watch actually the actual full earnings. I was busy with all day with these. Like I had done X-rays on my shoulder, I'd done it on my neck and all that. But I've seen the earnings like report. What they rolled out. Like we still lost, but we beat expectations and all this stuff. And the fact that we still beat expectations, it's nothing new, and we still you know, end up in the negative versus the random days that I feel like, that rise that we had over the last month was pricing in this report that came out today. And that's why for people who were waiting or people who were playing options this like a few days ago or yesterday, loading up, hoping that it was going to be a very volatile day, they didn't get their wish, and now you see like they probably lost their ass off on that. But that's nothing new to us. Like we've been through, some of us been through some 9, 10 earning calls, perhaps just one or two more, extra more than that, and some a little bit less, but nothing new. But here's some of the things that I want to speak on, like some special things to speak. Appreciate it, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Swish said no, flag football doesn't count. Might be soon. It might have to actually. It might start counting. And Popcorn says Ape was made by Shorts and supported by A. Non-refundable. See, here's the thing. The reason why I agree with that, because without even reading it, is because I actually said this was the case. Like when I remember when these statements about Ape coming out, I remember, just to give credit, when it first was gonna come out, Lou was the first person to actually say Ape is gonna be a problem down the line. Now, I'm a very cautious person. I'm not a gun-ho person where I could just go ahead and call things out before I see them materialize. But when I see the danger, that's when I will call it out. So when did I see the danger? When they first proposed the conversion. The idea, like, it was not, I guess I did not want, this was my last attempt at hoping that Adam Aaron wouldn't be, and the board wouldn't be as corrupt. Because if you look back in my content, there was a live that I've done about, it was in April of 21, last year, April 21, so about a year and a month ago. And I was laying out the transactions that the entire board, including Adam Aaron, was doing. They were, and the title of it was, AMC's board are day traders, literally, like something like that. That was the title of the live. And I was laying out what they were doing. They get shares from here, boom, they're trading it. They're buying shares and boom, they're trading them. I called them day traders because they were trading the stock more than treating it like a day trade. Versus at that time, when we're looking at comparing it to GME's board, and this is not to say that this community or that community, you guys know, AB don't fall into that. At the end of the day, it's nonsense, because money is money, stock is stock. I'm investing. I don't care about all that. Oh, I'm an elitist of this and an elitist of that. I leave that to the kids. If you make money in XYZ stock, it does not matter what the F is the name of it, at the end of the day. But anywho, moving on. GME's board, including Ryan Cohen, were doing nothing but accumulating shares and not selling any at that time. And AMC, on the other hand, they were just day trading the shit out of the stock. So at that time, I had my first, I don't think this was a good board, but I kept giving them the chance to see, like, prove me right or prove me wrong. That my gut feeling is not where it's at. And the straw that broke the camel's back was when they obviously put off the whole proposal for reverse and split and a conversion. And at that time, non-refundable, that's when I called the reverse split and the conversion in about 2-3 videos. I think it was part 1, part 2, and I think the title of them was I believe it was like the conversion. This is where you get the fist and blah blah blah. So we could go back in time and see it. But I totally buy into that, because at the end of the day, the whole system, this is not being done only to AMC, guys. This is done to the entire, like, look what happened to Mullen yesterday. It got mauled. It got mauled. It did its reverse to what, 1 to 25 or 1 to 15, 1 to 20, something like that. And it ended up what, down 15, 20, 25% on the day. So if we were go back to the older numbers, it would be still less than 6 cents, even less. It made a new all-time low. Don't let the number fool you after the reverse. People's actual investment dropped in value even more. WISA did the same thing, and they've lost their ass off after. I understand that, this was overall the market makers, DTCC, in my humble opinion. We gotta think big, guys, and think what is just causing this. It's not just Adam Aaron and the board, and that's one of some of the points that I would love from our family and our community, especially from the family that voted no to the reverse stock split and the conversion, and even the people that converted after as well. The people that said, you know what, I was wrong for the yes. Now that I see the danger and the BS about it, I want to convert it over to no in this upcoming letter or the transaction through the court, like where I have to submit my letter. So they're willing to make it up through that. But if you see, like, the one thing that I've noticed is that most people are just targeting their pain at Adam Aaron and the board. In other words, enlarging their stature, like they're the ones who are making these decisions and all this stuff. And I was watching like I think a couple weeks ago, owning the float Clipper Mike, he went to meet Adam Aaron in person, and he said himself that he felt like he's not the one making decisions. If you go back in time, in months, I've never met Adam Aaron, but I am a very good judge of character. I'm a very good judge of transactions and actions. Your actions speak louder than words. When I understand the backstory behind everything, you can also understand why it's not just his decisions that he's making this. Let's just think logical or common sense together. What do Adam Aaron stand of a lot of people are saying Adam Aaron wants us to let's discuss two narratives, okay? Adam Aaron wants to screw us, or Adam Aaron wants to help us. Okay? Good. Let's discuss this side and that side. He wants to help us or serve us. What does he stand out of that? He doesn't gain anything. He just, people's love? Becomes the people's champ? It might not matter to him at the end. Especially at his age, it might not matter much. But why would he want to also hurt us? What does he get out of that? Why is he coming straight after us just to hurt us? What does he get out of it? Nothing as well. So the answer here is neutral. Hurting us, not hurting us, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter to him. But the decisions that are being made, that I've always said that are not always just his, like they're coming down to him and he's just following through his buddies. So I'm not refuting the fact that, he probably, and again, this is a probably is on the take with Citadel. It's probably on the take with such and such. I have to say all these things because obviously we're on live, right? Reconnecting. Did it connect? It's funny how after I said that, now it did that reconnecting issues. So he has to go along with that stuff. Now, am I putting a blame on him? Of course, because Aiding evil is also evil. So if you aid the evil, you are evil yourself. So I'm calling him out for that. I personally think he's an evil person, because keeping your mouth shut and saying, well, I'm not doing it, I can't do nothing, I got kids, I got family to take care of, they threatened me, and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't work in my court. That does not work in my court. You know, if you fall for that, that means you have nothing, that you're afraid of these people more than you're afraid of a higher power, if he believes in one. If he has a faith, then that's the only thing that he should be afraid of, and that should be his guidance. So he's definitely wrong into following that. But do I think, and I've always said this, that he's the one who's making these decisions on the go as he sees fit? No, no, no. You guys are giving him, if you think of him that way, then you're giving him too much credit than he deserves. He's not that. And then he doesn't, again, what does he stand? If he was trying to hurt us, what does he get out of it? So at the end of the day, that's why when fundamentalists come out and say, we care about the company and this and all that stuff, it's no problem. I love AMC. I love popcorn. I love the movies. I don't go and show everybody that, hey, I went to see such and such movie and here's the tickets and a bucket of popcorn all the time. I do it every now and then and I post it, but I don't post it all the time. Jeffrey, what's up, brother? And I encourage people, obviously, to aid the stock that they're in. But in the same time, I've also said in the past that, hey, we can't be the people who do, without us, there's no AMC. There's no great earnings, beats, blah, 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 and all this stuff. We're technically the people who are buying this popcorn off the shelves. It's not that people are like, that are not invested in EMC are going out of their way and saying, oh my God, AMC. And odds are 90% or 80 to 90% of the people that are buying off the popcorn off the shelves are people who are invested in AMC, which is retail, which is us. So we can't be the party and yet wait outside. Or we can't be the people that invite others and then eat in a paper plate while they eat in a, golden plate. So I'm gonna go over one particular point that I will go over now. That's important, especially for some of the fundamentalists. You demand the option players are not in the same position as most of us who have real shares. Believe me, brother, they're not in the same position, but in the same time, you're in a much better position. Option players, being an option player myself, and everybody knows, I've shared many times in the past. I don't know if you've been in my community for a long time or not over the past year or so, but I had my takeoff in the June run up for AMC with some options, and most of them I was exercising because the formula is as it goes up, and I broke down the three-legged strategy with AB and all that stuff on options. But in a nutshell, regardless, option players have something to worry about. They look at their options and they're saying, please, Lord, let this price go up before an XYZ date. If the price doesn't go up, they're in constant worry, especially for those ones who don't really know how to play options and they're just going in and saying, playing blackjack or jackpot, guessing game, just buying like way far out of the money, way down the line, and then hoping that AMC squeezes in between those timelines. Shares don't expire. Your shares are not going to expire. And best believe that a reverse stock split will screw over option players even more than stockholders. So for those who, like, I know who you're also referring to, and I understand it's an unfortunate situation that we got something or someone like that representing the community, especially our community. But they also misrepresent many fundamentals and many important things. The options also get reversed. So when people are like, you got to question the agendas of some of these content creators. Are they doing it for the hype, or what is their moral compass here? Where is their purpose? Because even for options, they're misrepresenting them. They're misrepresenting options. They're misrepresenting the community. They're misrepresenting the stock market. And they're just in it to win it. That's mainly what I personally think for many of these content creators. They hope that they could get or score an interview with some CEO or whatever, and they're just saliva all over it. And again, I can't hate on anybody for that because I don't do no hating. Do it. In fact, I'm the biggest supporter. There is nothing more beautiful than somebody achieving their dreams, their life dreams. If that's their dream, whoever you are out there, I'm in support. But don't do it on the backs of others. Don't do it while convincing others, kind of like a person who's pushing someone to do something wrong, leading to their demise. But that certain action is going to lead up to you gaining a lot. So somebody else's disaster is your overall your luck and your fortune. So yeah, no, that's the worst, and we'll call that out. Many of these people, guys, you got to also remember, many of these people, like some of them just popped up like 4, 5, 6 months ago. That's it. And they use this buy views and buy subs, so it could look like they got a lot of subs and a lot of views on certain videos, and then the hype buys itself out. You have to be able to verify which one is which on your own. When you hear someone or something that talks and never even said anything that makes anything about sense about the market, just doing nothing but reacting, that's it. Reacting and saying just their personal opinion, and even if it's not even fundamental, it doesn't make any sense at all. You have to be able to judge that and say, you know what, I gotta stop going over here. I gotta stop going over there. I need to stop listening to this, because even if they're shills, if you give them time, if you give them attention, if you give them energy, they feed off of that. You're making their case bigger. Shills, negative people that are not representing the community, they die out on their own because the one thing they're after is views and attention. And by not giving them the views, you automatically kill them. So stop going around, guys, and making a case for them like this person or that person. The second you don't mention them is the second they're dead. They're done. As far as with the community, not dead. You know, that's what it is. They're in it for the hype, and that's all they're after. And if that's not good with you, then stop the following. And you don't even need to go against them. You don't even need to fight them. You don't even need to go and shill on them and whatever. You become just like them then. And at the same time, you're also giving them what they want. You know the rule that says negative press, positive press is all great press. Because at the end of the day, you're making them famous. You're keeping them alive. You're keeping their legacy and their name alive. So keep these people that you don't believe in or you feel like they're shilling against the community, leave. You don't even need to go and campaign against them. Just leave them. Leave them. It's so fun. It's so funny because, like, we as people, we all might be different, but we all also can tell when something is bad for us or good for us. If somebody deceives somebody, whose fault is it? The deceiver or the deceived? The first time is the deceiver, but if the deceived continues to, get deceived, then at that point, it's both of their faults. Remember, the deceiver never gets off the hook. But they always, one thing about criminals or bad people, they always tie their own noose around their own neck. On their own. You don't even have to go out of your way to do any of that. Oh my God, Sinkster, I just saw, out of all the comments, I just saw that one. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Jordan Love. That's going to be our quarterback. Yay. But some of the good, important points that we need to remember, guys, just finalizing that thought about Adam Aaron and the board, is that They are pawns, and I said this back then in that live or in that video in the past, and some of them. I will say it again. They are pawns in the game. They're following orders and they're doing it because the enemy, our enemy, is not one front. Our enemy is on many counts of fronts. Many counts. We are going against the entire system, guys. The entire system. I could go back and literally, if you go back and look a year and a half ago on some of my first lives that I put up, I broke down a diagram of who is helping who and who's against us. Whether it's the feds from their actions, it's indirect. Everything is indirect, but it leads to the same pool. So each entity has their own building, but all their pipes dump into the same pool, if that makes any sense. And it's not just against AMC, it's against the entire stock market. This is why you see like so many reverse stock splits happening here and there. This is why, because they corrupted the whole market. They did synthetics left and right, and naked shorts, blah, 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 everywhere on so many stocks. On so many stocks. And it just happened to be that all those stocks are also, whether you want to call them meme stocks or, you know, or you want to call them just regular, whatever, however way you want to refer to them, but they all happen to be stocks where majority of retail, in other words, the common citizen, is invested in. People, here's one of the points that fundamentals like to make, fundamentalists. Why aren't the institutions crying? You know, by the way, if they bring this up to you, this is how you can just, you know, diminish that stupid talk. Again, I retract that. No stupid. We don't handle business like this. We got to stay classy, guys, right? But when they say that, why are you crying? You with your 500 shares or your 400 shares or your 5,000 shares. Why are you crying? Look at institutes. Some institutes have millions of shares and they're not crying about no reverse stock split. Yeah, they use that, right? And they try to silence the room with those things. But see, what you don't know might make you go silent. But what you do know make your voice very loud. And here's how. Well, the thing is with us, the reason why we're not in the same boat as institutes, even though they own AMC stock, is because with their millions of shares, they're not just holding like us. We're the only ones that did buy and hold and shut off the lending button off your app. And even then, there's reports that say that brokers are still going ahead and taking your shares and sharing them regardless and lending them out regardless. See, all these institutes, they over 2 years, maybe 2.5, almost 3 years now. In September of 2023, it'll be 3 years officially for me. Officially. You could do some estimating, or as some apes like to call it, guesstimating. If you have 4 or 5 million shares, and over the course of 2 to 3 years, you've been lending them out left and right, and cashing out on major premium, how much money do you think they have made? I guarantee you that most of these institutes have already made their money probably doubled, quadrupled, maybe tenfold their money. We're not lending out our shares. That's why we're not in the same boat. So when somebody comes to you with that nonsense and says, why are you crying but institutions are not? We're not crying, first of all. We want what's rightfully is ours, justifiably is ours. The price of a stock rises, like the most important formula or element of why the stock goes up. Any stock is based on buying. If there's a lot of buying, which will lead us to another point now, right, coming right after. If the stock is being bought, price goes up. There's demand, the price goes up. That's what determines the market cap of a stock. That's the main force. But since we are buying and holding, we're not lending, we're not selling. These company institutes are not doing the same thing. They're not buying and holding and saying we're gonna go. They're not even buying popcorn, as far as we know. They're not going to movies and going out of their way to make hashtags this. You know, institutes, they can't be like, they can be just like us, like retail, but with much bigger positions, or even hedge funds. They can go out there and buy a position in some company and they can start boasting about it. Hey, AMC is the best. Do you see any of them doing it? See, I'm tired of these nonsense individuals in our community breaking ranks, trying to divide the community, and saying, instead of pointing the fingers within the community, go point the fingers at the large institutions and the hedge funds. Some of these yesers and some of these fundamentalists are saying, oh, you guys are not supporting AMC or the theater. Well, what is the institutes doing? What, they bought a position and just kept shut? They're not going out there making hashtags saying, but AMC to the moon, or AMC, anything AMC. They're not even rocking with us. That's perfect, attendees. This last comment, I just caught my attention right there. It's hard to smile when you have to battle the CEO and all other institutions together. Of course, no one said it's easy. It is hard. In fact, I know all about that because I see the whole image. We're battling the Fed. I've been screaming about this since early 2021 when I first made this channel. Early 2022, sorry. I made this channel. See, time flies by so quick. I don't want to give out wrong info, misinformation. But the Feds, through their repo and reverse repo on a daily basis, the Feds also hiking rates, knowing that after so much easy money, and we're not even gonna go into, like, that's a long topic for a different law in the past. But the Fed gotta go against that. The SEC is playing the role of a cop with dementia, who doesn't even know, oh, how am I here? How did we get here? We are understaffed. Congress is putting my hands behind my back. Like, market makers, even brokers, the one person that we're supposed to trust the most is the one person we have to be afraid of the most. All these entities are against us, and they all have something to make, because when you think with the sense of a detective, things will start opening up. Different lights starts to appear in front of your eyes. You ask yourself this question and battle it out on both ends. Why would the market maker do what they're doing to us? Why would they do this corruption? Well, we understand there is money in it for them, obviously. The source of all evil is money, apparently. But why would they do it? You will see the answer. It will be written all over the wall. Brokers, what do they make? Why? I mean, at the end of the day, if we were to open up any lawsuits, the first of lawsuits, I mean, if synthetics were to ever come out, this is why I always say they always control the narrative. So even if we have our MOAS, it won't come to the senses, or it won't leak out as, oh, the MOAS is here because of synthetics. No, it will just be MOAS, take your money, have a great life. But they will do that before any letters get submitted and some sort of news come out about a float that exceeds the current legal float. Before any news like that come out, they will nip it up the butt right there and then. But they will continue to fight us until that last moment, because they're always thinking, like, why would I want to? When was the last time you met somebody who willingly gave up all the wealth that they have, whether it's stolen wealth or their rightful wealth? Nobody goes and does that. But they will fight you to the last moment. But when it gets to the point where they feel like they have to jump off the cliff, they're like, okay, right here is where we stop. We can't reveal. So many things can't be revealed. Many things have to stay classified. So what we'll do is we'll give these apes, these monkeys, what they want, because that's just how they feel about us. That's how they see us. I don't give a shit how anybody sees me. As long as I'm comfortable within my own skin, as long as I'm happy with myself. And from a position of strength, I can change the system. But from a position of weakness, it's very hard. And of course, everything needs unity to try to get even have a chance at changing. So, so the point, the first one that we were talking about was like institutions. Why are they not whining and dining, whatever, blah blah blah? Because institutions have been already making their money. If AB, all of you guys, if you all came out and publicly for the past 2-3 years been saying, lend out your shares, make some money, lend out your shares, make your punk 5 whatever cents a share, blah blah blah, on lending fees that the broker will give you. Do you know how the entire community would have looked at us? Excuse me, ambulance break. Well, I could take a smoke puff. So, so no one is calling out the institutes for lending out their money, and they're saying no. In fact, they come in the support of it. Say that's what Vanguard do. That's what BlackRocks do. That's what they do. They lend out shares because that's the making of their model. That's how they make their money. So they don't give two shits about AMC. They're just bought into it because they know that there's going to be a lot of shorting in here involved, and a lot of people coming to try to borrow the stock to short it. And especially if they knew that this is going to be a stock from the beginning, because they all drew this out, that's going to pan out for a year, 2 or 3, and time is still counting. They were like, wow, so you telling me I can buy, this is probably Vanguard saying, you telling me I can buy 40 or 50 million shares in this right now, and I can lend it out for about 2-3 years, an endless cycle, lend it out, they bring it back to me, I'll lend it back again the next day, they bring it back to me, and they keep a little bit, blah, blah, blah. After 2-3 years, they've already made their initial investment buying those shares tenfold. And at this point, it wouldn't even matter to them if probably those shorters return the stock or they don't. So that's the first notion. If anybody comes to you and tell you, why are you upset? Institutions have far more shares than you, and they're not upset. They're not going out there publicly saying, no reverse stock split, no conversion. Well, because they've made their money already over tenfold. And if you're going to tell me I should have sold in the high of June 2021, then you're a shill yourself. Because if we sold then we wouldn't be talking about MOAS or squeeze today. And if you're telling me there's no MOAS and there's just a run-ups, play the run-ups, blah, 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 then you're a shill as well. I'm one of the OGs. I came in the GME run-up, in the AMC run-up of January and before. My positions in AMC started in September of 2020. So this is why I say in September of this year, it'll be 3 exact years. I know what it is and what the essence of this movement was and what is keeping them on the hook. Almost 3 years later now, the other side is still spending so much freaking money on putting out bad press against us, hiring stupid shills to come out and actually for 3 years still paying them to come out to persuade us there's no MOAS. Because think of it. What did I tell you in the beginning of this chat? Think with the mind of a detective and things will reveal themselves. What do these shills stand like? Even if they were not able to persuade you to sell your stock, if they were at least able to get the bare minimum out of you and persuade you that there's no such thing as MOAS, that's a major success for them. Because when time comes, if somehow they were able to manipulate over these past 3 years people's minds into believing that, okay, we're not going to sell our shares, we know that they're hurting for them, but in the same time, if they got people fatigued and they kept getting into people's heads that, oh yeah, look, in June I made hundreds of thousands, I made 300,000, or I made $2 million selling. You got to know when to buy low and sell high. This is a different case. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. This is what personally for me, I'm doing for me. No shill is going to deteriorate my mind off of it. Yes, the major crazy numbers are a possibility. But if they can at least get the bare minimum, if they could not get you to sell your shares, at least get the bare minimum. At least get these shills to get you to sell for peanuts on the dollar, pennies on the dollar. That's a major win for them. If they got people to devaluate their own stock further, in other words, devaluating yourself, that's a major win to them. If we were in a sports game right now, and it's all about beating the opposition. All I gotta do is make you believe less in yourself, or make you feel like I'm very superior to you, and you're very inferior to me. And if I score, if I'm either way physically gifted and I beat you regardless, then it is what it is. But if I couldn't, and I know I don't have a chance, but I was able to mentally manipulate you into making you think that I am a very worthy opponent, and that's a win. In my book, that's a win. Because I rattled you. That way you're rattled. Since June 2021 run up until today, how many people have you seen? I'm talking to you individually now, each one of you. How many people have you seen talk about the idea of, oh my God, I can't wait to just get my money. Please, I just want to get even. How many people have you heard say stuff like this? Even those, don't you think that that's a win for the other side? That they got these people to feel like that? That's why it's always important. And I always preached and said that, hey, each person is important in this community. The less informed and the very informed. The scientists, the Hopkins of our community, and our Sherlocks of our community, and the average, I don't know anything. Because in this game, it's all about what you got, how much of it do you have, and what don't you. So each person that even owns one share on our side is better than that person not having even one share, because we could use that one share compounded over many other family members in the community to combat the other side with. In a gunfight, it's all about how many bullets you got. It could come down to one bullet. You never know. You never know. But we cannot let them rattle us. And that's that point as far as institutions not crying and blah, 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 because institutions have been making money. We have not been lending out. If you have been lending out your shares, please, this is for content creators. If you have been lending out your shares or buying and selling your shares over and over again, buying low and selling high, please, I inquire you to use some values and speak the truth. Don't hide in sheep's clothing while you're a wolf in the community. Don't say that you're holding with the community and you're all about that, but you pick and choose what part of the community do you want. So you can't come and say I'm holding blah blah blah, but in the same time, if you're truly behind the scenes, buying and selling AMC, buying it whatever, as you quote unquote, like Adam Aaron said, if you bought AMC or even ape in such and such time, right now you would have doubled your money. You know what that is an indication of? That's an indication that you bought it then and you sold it now, because unrealized gain is not realized gains. So in other words, when Adam Aaron says something like, why did you buy at a high point? Oh, okay. So you're indicating to me that buying high, which means if you bought low, if you doubled in value, you're going to sell? If that's the case, I can't fault you. I don't fault anybody for selling at whatever price they want. It's your own investment. Your money is your money. But please do not ride the community and on the backs of the community saying what you want. Pick and choose the points that you want to support, and the things that you don't want to support, you go against, but in the same time, you're doing the very opposite of them. And it's almost clear. It's almost clear. Thank you, John. So, so, so the indication when you have somebody like any content creator, even Adam Aaron, saying like on that what they call the secret recording, that Adam Aaron mentioned to that gentleman, the brother John, I think his name is Robert or John. I don't want to get his name wrong, so it's one of the two. I know that, but when he told him that people are getting hammered and stuff like that, and Adam Aaron responded and said, um, these people, you bought the stock at the wrong time. Those people that bought AMC in November, right now, they just about almost doubled their money. Doubled their money if they sold right now. So they bought on November at the low, and they sold now at whatever, $6. They bought 3 something and they sold at 6 something. That means they if they sold, they doubled their money. But what do we call those that sold like that? So basically, again, in other words, they're indicating to you, they're teaching you to go ahead and use that kind of sense of buying and selling. Buy down here, sell up here. Teaching you those fundamentals. We all know that. But there's a major difference between this stock and some of the meme stocks and all the other stocks. Major difference. This is not a pump and dump. This is not a pump and dump stock. They're making it look as such so that they can manipulate this mind and manipulate it into selling what it has. Because there has never been anything ever before as such as like millions of people gather up and gang up similar to a major hedge fund. Because when you put us all together, we're a very powerful hedge fund. Very powerful. You put all that money together, we count as one force. We're retail, we're all as one force. And we buy and hold something. We're not buying and selling it back for a run up of 5-10%. We're buying and holding, and we want the price to go up. They don't like that on the other side. Yeah, I know that this could disrupt a lot of markets, but again, we did not make the rules. This is their game. This is their regulations, their rules. We only came in. You can't fault the student that comes in and sees the whole system and says, you know what, I figured out a way to finish my homework quick. And that way is probably like a slap to the face to all the other students or professors or whatever, but that's not the student's fault. If it's within the boundaries, and that's what we did. It was the simplest thing, buy and hold. That was never designed to happen, because all these years before, for so many years, there was never something like this where millions of people ganged up with one purpose. That never happened before. Never. That's why we have the entire opposite side of the spectrum being against us. The institutes, the board, the feds, the SEC. And again, this is all my speculation, opinion. It could be wrong, it could be right. Just for those screenshotting people out there and keeping tabs. Another point, another valid point to speak up. Oh, I feel it said reconnecting. Give me a thumbs up, somebody, please, just so I would know that I'm still live. Oh yeah, depth. Thank you, the man. Depth limit. I got you. We'll talk about that. Thank you, John. Another valid point to talk about. What is it? Oh man, you the man. You just got me to brk-a. How are you, brother? Tater tot. You just got me to forget the last point that I wanted to make. I'm thinking about the depth ceiling now. Maybe a sip of coffee might return the thought. Nope, not working. You're fine. As we talk about the depth ceiling, I might remember it. So the debt ceiling, what's happening with the debt ceiling is technically, here's what you will have. Some of the, what is the cataclysmic events that could happen is if we default, okay? First, you got to think about what are the catastrophic resulting of a default, which again have never ever happened in our entire history. That's why we're up into the 30 trillion debt mark. But what do we, there's a lot of things that will affect. It's not just going to affect the market. You would easily assume if we default, if the debt ceiling defaults, one of the things that will happen to the stock market is it will shave at least a third of its value. Many stocks. Now, you see, here's the thing. Why would that be something that is in somewhat good for us? And again, I say that with a grain of salt because it's going to inflict like a defaulting on debt will result in so much harm. Do you know specifically to who? Put all the investments and the stocks on one side. It will affect mainly all those VAs, all the Social Security recipients, all those people. Many of them will not get their payments on time. If some of them might not even get their payments in general, but most of them will be delayed, and all these people are living literally check to check on these, and if we default, then they will be late on those payments. Those VAs, Social Security recipients, all any government assistance programs, all that stuff. In the same time, like I said, you would expect the stock market to shave at least a third of its value. So why would that be counter to us if it was to happen? Because you would expect the people that are shorting us, and specifically the banks that are also holding so much of this weight of lending to shorts, whether stocks or whether obviously money to get established short positions. They all would lose so much to the point where if they're in the red on all these other accounts, they're going to be margined against whatever shorts there will be against. So a default is directly, in my humble opinion, will directly cause margin calls all across the spectrum, in every almost spectrum, every stock, just about every stock, because whoever is shorting you will not be able to meet their margin requirements. They're just not going to be able to meet it. With what? With what collateral? Microsoft stock? Microsoft would by then have plummeted to the floor. Amazon stock? Apple stock? The S&P would have gotten decimated. All the major indexes will get decimated. And all the shorts have one thing in common. While we all bought and held AMC, they shorted AMC, but shorted other stocks. But on top of that, their whole bread and butter is invested in so many other stocks. In fact, they probably shorted AMC like 5% exposure to shorting AMC, which is huge, by the way, for any individual or any company to have, especially as a hedge fund, to expose your company to 5 to 10%. That's almost like kind of wow, like wowzers. Where's the risk financial officers here? They're always never around, right? But in my humble opinion, with all that being said, so now when you realize like and there's a few other things that will get affected as well, many other things, but just so you first that you put these things in perspective first. Now you go back to what are they going to happen or not? Will they default? Will the debt ceiling default or not? Well, guessing is always going to be obviously a guesser's game, but I'll tell you this. Personally, my humble opinion, I've said this in, I think, not the last video, maybe the last video or the video before that. But I said, in my humble opinion, there's inevitably, I think that they're going to hike raise the debt ceiling yet again, because it's just they're not going to let that happen now. Because if they let that happen now, that's like automatically saying, like shooting yourself in the foot before going to war. And for some of you political family members' minds in here, you know what I'm talking about. If we're gearing up for war, for world domination and world power, you can't have cataclysmic and crisis in your own backyard. Shirley, how are you doing, family? Yes, JD, they will drop the US dollar. But again, where else anybody, like right now as we stand, there's nothing can touch the US dollar no matter how much. I mean, it's been weakening since 2001. But there's no other alternative that can beat the US dollar right now as we speak still, or compete with it even. You know? Of course, they're in their infancy stages across across the lake. They're trying to develop something and all that stuff because again, that's the race to superiority and domination in the world. Unfortunately, that's just the way that the world runs. That's what they're after, and that's just how it works. But again, I don't see somebody gearing up to go and you know reestablish their domination on the rest of the globe and have a debt collapse ceiling in their own backyard now. This is why I've said before that, you know, the world wars are fought every day, but today's wars are not necessarily just won or done by guns and bullets. They're done with currency. You destroy them in their own backyard before you even shed a single drop of blood or even send a single soldier anywhere. And that's the game that they're playing. And it's well, I mean, again, I'm not a political advisor as well, rather than a financial advisor. But I will say that's a job well done because they're exploiting their powers as much or as far as they see best. The more they issue, the more dollars they issue, the more damage they do outside than they do in here. Yes, it's hurting us here with inflation, but every time they print across the lake gets, like, if we feel it here, they feel it triple out there. Because they're the ones who are buying into the U.S. bond, you know, and treasuries, and they're the ones who are exposed to the U.S. market. And every time we print more dollars, the dollars that they have lose value. They keep losing value. Wouldn't you think that, again, oh my God, we're diving deep now. This is hot waters. But wouldn't you think that somebody who controls that position, wouldn't you think they would exploit that position to try to further make sure that their enemy, or what they view as an enemy, stays below them? I mean, again, I don't think like this, the world powers and all that stuff. But again, this is the world that we live in. So when they know that they have this power in the US dollar, and they're the only ones that control issuing and printing more dollars. And again, it's just paper, right? We're today's children. We're not tomorrow's children. We're today's children as we speak today. So if we have the only people that can issue more and print more, we control how we can weaken other countries and other regions across the lake just simply by using that or exploiting that advantage that nobody else has around us. And that's why the BRICS are being evolved. That's why China and other countries are trying to form another reserved currency in the world. No, I'm not in Chicago. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm in the Midwest. Oh, unless you were talking to, I think, Shirley or someone else. Never mind. So that's what happens with that. Ooh, one good point. I remembered the point, you the man. So some of the fundamentalists, they also bring up another point. They say that fundamentals matter because that's what makes institutions buy, right? Oh, you love that Newport? Newport is where, like, Newport on the Levee is where I had the first location of my restaurant, Greek Burrito, was there. And then we closed that one when they renovated in 2020 due to the shutdown. And we went over to Florence, Kentucky now. But both are amazing areas. I know what you're talking about. So anyways, so the fundamentalists say that companies or institutes buy into stocks that have good fundamentals, right? Well, I want you guys to answer this question, to all of you. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys a question now. I will connect to that point that the fundamentalists say. I want to ask you guys a question. I want everybody in the family here, if you can, please type. Please say your answer. I wanna read some of the answers. So I ask upon to you to please answer whatever answer comes to your mind. There's no right or wrong answer, okay? But the question is, when you buy a stock, you buy it at its lowest or do you buy it at its highest? And if you buy it at its whatever, the lowest or the highest, if it's at its lowest, why is it at its lowest? Because it has, at that moment, the reason why it's low is because it has bad fundamentals, right? Something is bad with their fundamentals. It doesn't have to be all the fundamentals in the fundamentalist world, right? So when do you buy a stock? Do you buy it when it's low or do you buy it when it's high? Please put down your answers. I want to read some answers in the screen while I make this. Hopefully this bumblebee leaves me alone over here. You the man says, normally, yes, they aren't doing well. Okay, that's one good answer. JD, buy high and hope to sell higher. Come on, people, get those fingers going. Type some answers. It can be as few as many words as possible. When you buy a stock, when do you buy it? That's the question. When it's low or when it's high? Because in the fundamental world, it's advised and it's always known that you buy low and you sell high, right? Based on a company that has promise. Am I wrong or am I wrong? Right. I dropped the tongues. Tell me. The essence of investing is supposed to be, put AMC on the side for a second. The essence of investing is to buy low, sell high, and do your due diligence on a company that has very good promise, but it's at a low point and eventually is going to turn things around and is going to go up, and you buy then. Palantir, Neo, good companies. I get it. We just gotta be 10 steps ahead every direction. Don't lose your cool. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Shirley. So the answer is correct, or the general answer, sentiment for it is correct. So some of these fundamentalists will come to you and try to prove you or like strong arm you with some of these manipulative games or side blows, saying, hey, all we need for the short theses is for us to not be in debt. AMC can issue all these shares and sell and cover all his debt, and next thing you know, That's the catalyst. All the companies will start buying in. They're jumping and over jumping so many things because they know that that's the brain thinks ahead like this. But if you know step by step how it works, then there's major flaws in that talk. So here's how you counter that talk. If you, and I know there's many of them that are keeping tabs out there, they're just watching, lurking, watching, maybe some watching right now, so that they can use it for their own content later, or perhaps, in other words, counter it, practice it now, huddle up, and try to get back to it in a different answer some other way. It's good. I like to keep them on their toes. Anyways, the answer is, if you're buying, if the agenda is to buy low and sell high, you're not going to buy something low unless it's fundamentally, or that thing at that moment is going through rough times. What is the general sentiment of this company? Let's see if this logic that I spoke fits the narrative on AMC. AMC has bad fundamentals. No one disputes that. We have a lot of debt, and we don't have as much cash on hand, right? That's nobody can refute that. Here's the thing. Now, whether it's self-inflicted, what can we do to take out, solve some of those issues? Yeah, many other things can be done besides popcorn and Visa cards. Some people, I remember hearing Froggy brought up a couple of good points. One of them was, about the theatrical window being cut from 90 to 40 days or 45 days. That's all him. I give him full credit to that. That is true. He cut that down. That does bring down a lot of money away from incoming money that we could be making more money from. There was another point that he mentioned, and I can't remember what it is, so please forgive me, obviously, for not mentioning everything for everybody else's, but I remember one thing that, so anything from within, that's different, self-inflicted harm. But I'm saying is, let's look at AMC. Nobody can refute the fact that we don't have as much cash. In the same time, we have a lot of debt. But one thing we can't refute, no one can refute, is the fact that the promise of AMC is pretty evident, is on paper. You don't even need somebody with a trust me, you don't need AB to tell you, trust me, bro, buy an AMC. It's on paper. Every quarterly earnings, we are beating expectations. And right now, it's only a matter of time before we become profitable. I mean, we're nowhere near the window of movie releases and the crazy releases of crazy amounts of movies. It's coming, but we're still nowhere near our full potential. So right now, I feel like we're barely a third of our potential. And if you multiply us by 3.3.33333, I feel like we would be huge. We would be huge money makers. We would be flipping money left and right. And then you can, on top of that, add more projects like popcorn and all these other stuff. We will be a massive successful company, major company. So if I was an institute, or if I was a person who wants to buy a stock that is very cheap in value, or in other words, way devalued, when do I buy it? After it gets on its feet? Because at that time, here's what you cannot overlook. When it's on its feet completely and everything, that means the price of the stock would also be inflicted on that. Nothing will be in good shape and also be sold for the same price right now. So if AMC is flipping profit and it's no longer losing money, do you think that AMC's price would still be at $5 and $6? Hell no. Hell no. It will be easily 2 digits. So how do you exploit that advantage? Do you come in and buy when it's whatever, 50, 60, 70, whatever, $80 and hold it then? Or do you buy it when it's at its valuation now and exploit that difference because you see promise in the company. You don't need to trust me, bro, to tell you there's promise in the company. Look at the earnings. I'm using the fundamentalists' methods of the fundamentals. I'm using their book or their pages against them. You don't get to pick and choose what you want and flip it to your own narrative. Stick to the logic and stick to the narrative and stick to the fundamentals as a fundamentalist. So the catalyst that we need, as far as they say we need, is major institutes buying into AMC and all that stuff. Well, institutes are not idiots. They see the writing on the wall and they've been buying. It's not buying that we need of the stock, because we know how that is being manipulated. And I know, which leads us to another point as well. Institutes move the stock. It's not the retail investors. While yes, on a daily base, they have a lot more firepower, bigger wallets coming in at once. But here's the thing: when you combine all the money that we put in, all of us combined, we are one major, if not much bigger hedge fund than any of these institutes alone by itself. And as buying all the float, unlocking it up and continuing to buy, that's what forced market makers, brokers, DTCC keep its mouth shut, and perhaps market makers and shorts and brokers to collude with each other to go ahead and create these so acclaimed, theoretically speaking here, synthetics and naked shorts, because they cannot let the true value be revealed. They can't let they went against the fundamentals. And this is why I say you cannot ask for fundamentals in an unfundamental world. You're expecting to solve point A by solving point Z, and it doesn't work that way. You can't go backwards. You gotta solve the problem at hand, the first problem in hand. If they are issuing synthetics and they're issuing naked, and they're committing also naked shorts, because they're two different things, to counterattack the price of the stock, to make sure it doesn't elevate to where their own assets will get margined out of the water. What catalyst will beat that? You're stuck until they say I can't do it anymore. If it's about issuing, they don't have a problem with issuing as many shares, clearly, as many shares as possible. In fact, they welcome you to bring your money. Come, buy. We got more from where that came from. One-stop shop. Whatever you want, we got. You want 3 floats of AMC? We got you. Will that be cash or credit? So how will they stop this infinity, what it sounds or seems like an infinity round pool? They gotta get collapsed in their other investments, because clearly the police that we have policing them is playing dementia, is acting like they don't know what's happening. We know what's happening, and the SEC don't, the NSCC don't, and Congress are a bunch of elderly women and men that are just sitting around waiting for their moment to speak and shine on TV, act like their moment of fame, berating somebody. You saw how they brought Commissioner Gary Gensler of the SEC. They brought him in. They were ripping his ass apart. They were ripping him up, and that's what they live for. Same thing what they did with the Robin Hood guy. Did anything change? That's just, again, I call it the theatricals. Exactly, John. It's just theatricals. Okay. Oh, Robin Hood took their button out. They knew that the general public demanded an answer. Now, they knew they had to do something, and what looks to most people was a solution was, hey, listen, if I was to give you an example of what happened with the Robinhood guy, here's how it is. Hey, you just screwed people on billions, billions, and billions of dollars. Okay? This is your mistake, or what you did. That's the consequence of it. Cost billions of dollars to a lot of people, mostly us, general public, retail traders. So they told him, so we need to do something. We're not going to chop your head off, okay? Don't worry. He's like, okay, so what are we going to do? They're like, okay, we're going to have to make it look real, all right? So we bring you inside, and we're just going to let your ass have it. We're going to go at you. Do you understand what you did and how you do this? Shame on you. Walk of shame, blah, blah, blah. And to him, it's like, I don't have to serve time. I don't have to, my neck doesn't get chopped off. Nothing happens. All that, and this is the solution, is I have to just sit there and take, a few banana peels and tomatoes and curse words and whatever. Shame on you, young man, blah, 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 from a few old people sitting in chairs, claiming that they stand for their state. I bet you that the Robinhood guy was like, I'm game. Run it. Let's do it. Let's do it. If that's the case, shit. Every broker now, Kenny Griffin, probably it was like, okay, that's all he had to go through? All right, print more synthetics. All you got to do is just stand in front of this committee, or in front of Congress or whatever, and just, look at Sam. Whatever, Friedman, Bankman, whatever his name is. Exactly, John. They stand for their stake. How many billions of dollars did he cost retail investors? What did he do for it? Community service hours, blah, blah, blah. They say they took his money, but somehow there's a few $1 billion that are missing. He stands in front of a committee and Congress, and what? They stand again to grill him? That's it? So that was the final point, guys, which was if they were alrighty, Shirley, just in time for me as well, almost. And that's what it is, family. So like when you buy into a stock, like you buy it at its lowest, but when you're buying it at its lowest, you and with and this is like, you gotta have those quotations there. You buy it at its lowest, and plus you gotta do your DD to obviously see promise in the company, basically moving forward in the future, climbing back to heaven, or going back to the land of milk and honey one day. So right now it's going through some hard times or struggles, but you believe the company will overcome those hardships, and it will go back to the get back to the land of milk and honey, and eventually you want to buy your piece of the pie or snag your piece of the pie right now while it's at its lowest. So these institutes, if there is a time, or if there is any time to snag, this is it right now. And they have financial officers and advisors and all that stuff. They don't even need, like the CEO himself of those institutes, don't even have to, or the chair, don't even have to go and do the DD. They just bring it all, squeeze it out for him. They bring the OJ juice to his table and say, hey, here you go, or her table, here you go. Okay, this company, it's got support of these millions of people supporting it. It's the biggest movie theater in the globe. It has over 10,000 screens. It has over 950 theaters. It controls, or it owns three of the top grossing, three of the five top grossing theaters in the U.S., including I think it's like no, they own like five of the top 10, and they have two. They own two of the top three highest grossing theaters in the U.S. And let's look at their earnings sheet, and every quarter they're beating expectations. Yeah, they're bleeding right now, but I can explain that because they don't have a lot of movies coming in. They don't have a lot of this coming out. Okay. And they don't have, and now there's these directors that are going on strike and blah, blah, blah. But they're going to be making so much more movies. They're going to continue to rise. We're not in COVID. We're coming back out of that. This is the time I buy. Right now, if I was an institute manager and I was willing to fork out, well, let's say $1 million investment or $2 million investment on AMC, this is the time I would do it. I won't wait until it's profitable, because when it's profitable, it will be at least quadrupled in value. At least, fundamentally speaking. At least. So that $2 million could become $8 million or $10 million if I buy now, rather than when I buy when it's at $8 million. That means my $2 million is very minuscule at that point, because the share cost is much, much higher now. Now I'm buying at a high point. I'm coming in when fundamentally everybody's saying, don't buy high, buy low and sell high. So this is the time to go ahead. So that point when they say that we need a catalyst, like people buying in order for us to go ahead and I guess fork out this short theses, or even to entice institutional buyers to buy. Institutional buyers, again, my response is institutional buyers don't need enticing. Institutional buyers can see the writing all over the wall. They don't need some, like, just a stock to be fully profitable. This is what they look for. Something that is rightfully should be much higher, but it, just like an athlete. Look at what's an athlete we can use as an example here. Look at Patrick Mahomes. When he's injured and he doesn't play, that doesn't mean he's no longer Patrick Mahomes. So when a company or a team wants to get him, that's the time they can get him for cheapest. If he was on a contract here, that's the time they can buy him for the cheapest value, because he's not playing at that time. He's hurt. But they know his true worth because he's bound to come back. And when he does come back, if you were to get his services, then you would have to pay a lot more. So they can exploit AMC now. So they don't need enticing. The enticement is the opportunity of making money. And if the opportunity is never sweeter than what it is now, never been. Let's see, what do we have here? But if they reverse split first, then merge, then is the problem. Well, tell me, Banman, how are you, first of all? Where do you see the issue as far as, like, what's the difference? I just want to, before I answer anything, I want to know where you're going with it. Like, as in, like, but if they reverse split first and then merge, then that's the problem. Because it's the same thing. If they reverse now and then converge or do it after, it's the same math, but it can't be done until because of the floats are different. So that's what, as far as I gotten from them. But mathematically, it's the same. The overall number will be the same. Because if you think of it like that, that's why I ask you what's the basis of the question that you've asked, so I would know where you're going with it. Because if it's a mathematical thing, then mathematically it's the same either way, whether this way or that way, before or after. It's the same. Think of it like this. Let's say you have not AMC and Ape. Let's say, or actually AMC and Ape. Let's say AMC has 1,000 shares and Ape has 1,000 shares. Man, it's a Friday, Cinco de Mayo, and of course I live close to a hospital, so you see, people are over drinking, I think. Just 1 second. This is the first time I hear that horn, that sound on an ambulance. This must be a decommissioned one back in service. Wow. Oh, I see why. Because there's some idiots. I think one guy doesn't know how to drive and get over to the right or move out of the way, and they just froze in the middle of the road, so that's why they kept honking at them. So yes, so back to our notion. If AMC had 1,000 shares and Ape had 1,000 shares, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that's just the floats. Numerically, again, if we're solving an issue, if I understood your question correctly, I'm just going along with that narrative now. 1,000 for AMC and 1,000 for Ape. If they were to combine them together, let's say they converged first and then they did the reverse split, it'll be the same number. 1,000 plus 1,000 is 2,000 divided by 10. You got the number, right? So if you were also gonna divide them individually and then merge them together, it's going to be the same thing as well. So if you were to divide 1,000 divided by 10, you got your 100. Then you go to AMC and you do the reverse split there before the conversion. 1,000 divided by 10, that's another 100. So 100, and you add them together, same answer, 200. So numerically, if it's just about the numbers, combining before the reverse split or combining after the reverse split is the same number at the end of the day. My issues personally is not about the numbers or any of that stuff. My issue is what the reverse split will do and what the conversion will do. And I broke those in previous videos in the past. And I implore everybody in here, if they didn't go in the past, seen those videos, to go back and see just those part 1 and part 2 of my reaction to the reverse stock split and the conversion. I think they have to convert Ape to AMC first. Don't think you can reverse a preferred equity. Again, the number is going to be the same. I was just looking at it from the light of what the numbers are. You know, eventually what they're trying to do is put both floats together and just have one float and, you know, bring Ape back into AMC. But the numbers, whether it's reversed first on its own and then converged over together, the numbers are going to be the same. Psycho's Fitness, thoughts on Ape? Ape is very tough to think about because, again, one, this is, you know, like I don't do advice on anything financial, but at the end of the day, you gotta keep this in the back of your head. If the reverse split does not go through, then technically Ape would be down, but you don't need to even think about it in that light. See, what most people, like the yes and the no crowd and the fundamentalists and the non-fundamentalist world, They go back and forth at each other's throats, but they keep failing to mention one thing. Is ape at the right price? Why did ape drop from 10, whatever its highs, 10, 9, 11, all the way down here? Of course, we know amzn sold at 68 cents or whatever, 66 cents to Antera. But, and yes, we were at those prices, but why did we get down to those prices? Same question, different stock. GME, why is it this low? SNDL, why did it drop this low? AMC itself, forget ape, why is it this low? When people, millions of people have piled in to buy the stock and held it. How is it possible that the stock would drop like to this point when its majority of it is held by retail, majority of float? You see, so what I'm trying to get to is, instead of the yes and the no crowd trying to sit there and say this, you don't have to hate this or that in order for you to like, like I was always AMC, and again, I don't care much for ape. That doesn't mean it's not an opportunity or it's not a stock with an opportunity. Like ape could, for the amount of shorting that is done on it, ape could also, like, we don't need like to reverse it back and converge it back to AMC and make it a part of the common stock. It could stay there and be a form of dividend in the future whenever AMC becomes profitable and pays off its debt, because according to the Kansas laws, which is where AMC is headquartered in, you can't roll out as far as I believe, hopefully I'm not wrong with this, but as far as for the longest that I've known, that they can't roll out any dividends until they are profitable. That's why that ape thing was not a dividend. A lot of people confused that. It was not a dividend. It was derived from our initial or our already made investment in AMC. It was derived from AMC. Andrew Francisci, it's called crime. Exactly. So technically, like ape should squeeze. Ape should be at a much higher valuation. Don't you find it odd, people? And again, this is that it's so easy for common folk to look down on other common folk, but when they look at institutes, they look up. So crazy, right? That screams insecurity and low self-esteem to me about these individuals. Very, very loud as well. Very loud. Because think on it. How was it possible that ape fundamental value was 66 or 68 cents, and up on the announcement of Antera's deal, ape strikes up to over $1.20, $1.30. If you remember, if we go back a few months ago and you remember, how is that? So you want to tell me that all the other institutes were sitting on next to their desktops and Terra is buying an 8K filing with AMC, with Adam Aaron. Let's all buy in. Send ape double its value. Let it soar. If you call that fundamental, then congratulations on your fundamental ethics and fundamental makeup. What's up, Mike? There's the Marine. Exactly. See, he's also doubling down with me on the not dividend. A lot of people called it. Some of the fundamentalist channels were, feeding that to all their following, saying, hey, I had to catch myself going from one place to another, speaking from one individual to the other to correct them and say, hey, no, stop. Fundamentally speaking, it's not a dividend. Lawfully speaking, it's not a dividend. It is derived from your AMC investment. That's why your AMC is where it's at right now. because the market cap of ape came out from, it's kind of like a birth. We gave birth to a son. You got a baby boy. And if Adam Aaron, according to Mike here, said that ape is hardly shorted, then how is it fundamentally where it's at? Oh, all retail sold. This is beautiful. Bring me the fundamentalists. Bring me all the fundamentalists. All the fundamentalists always use the excuse saying institutions move the stock. Retail investors don't move the stock. They don't move shit. Okay. Well, you want to tell me that by us, or because that's what the fundamentalists say, or some of the yesers say, like content creators say, not the family. They say that based on a lot of people selling their ape, that's why ape is down at 66 cents. Well, if that's the case, then we've all been buying AMC. Why it's not at $300? Come on, bring me the fundamentalists. Where are they? They say that retail investors don't move a stock. Institutions move the stock. Well, how are retail investors able to move ape? Down. So make up your minds. Which one is it? Do we affect the stock, or we don't affect the direction of the stock? Because that's, you can't pick, like, we can move the stock down, but we can't move the stock up. You can't choose that. Yeah, so Adam claims retail sold. So if we sold ape, so that means we were able to bring down ape. But we also, he himself quoted, I'm quoting him now, and Mike, you would agree with me on this, and most of the community here would agree with me on this. He himself came and told us that 80 to 90% of the float is locked up by retail. So if we were able to bring down by selling ape 80% or 90%, bring it down by selling, well, why can't we take AMC up 80, 90%? Oh, and funds were not buying ape. Naya Walton, I was told Antera dropped shares this morning. Yeah, Antera has been, ever since they accumulated those ape shares, they've been dumping here and there, sprinkling here and there, you know, making money on the top. You know, I can't blame a lion for you know, hunting, killing, and eating a gazelle. Like that's what Antera does. It's in it for food. It's in it for money. I can't fault them for exploiting what they taking advantage of an opportunity. But what I can, who I can fault or point fingers at is the whole entire system, including our board, including our CEO, including like whether the DTCC or the Feds or the SEC or the DOJ, all of them. Those are the individuals you can point the fingers at. All of them combined. So if I was in Antera's position, I would be doing the same thing. Somebody came to me, the CEO told me, hey, listen, look, I'll sell you these for 6 cents. And as soon as that announcement is made, your initial investment will double in value, if you wish to seek it. And if you wait a little bit more, it will triple. If you were in Antera's position, what would you do? You would jump on it. You will do it. Why not? Who says no to money, huh? Lou versus Wall Street channel makes a lot of sense about share recall, uh, assuming the bad actors really cover. Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this before, JD. I don't know what Lou exactly said, so I don't want to, comment on something I haven't heard. I trust, obviously, and I believe what you're saying about him. But I will say this: if I understand or understood exactly where you're coming from, what you're exactly saying about Lou, um, it falls within the same. If I'm understanding this correctly, it falls within the same bracket that I explained about controlling the narrative. If they see that this is going to result in a share recall and that shit hitting the news, oh my god, the DTCC is staying quiet for so many years about, and that's a government branch, about an issuance, because that's the house of all shares. So there's no way that there are synthetics and DTCC don't know about it. There's no way, to the best of my knowledge. So they can't let that go out into jokes. They can't let no, not jokes. They can't let that go out into the news. They can't let that go out public. So what they will do is that would force them, in other words, to cover, to keep this shit on the hush hush. Make it a Stormy Daniels situation. We can't let this one go out. Pay him off. I won't be mad. Pay me off. Pay you off. Pay the family off. So we must have sold them all off then. Rushed to buy them back. See, and that's the thing, Mike. Here's another thing a lot of people are forgetting. When APE was issued in August of last year, first it was given a window. It was given a window, like they announced it. They said, Adam Aaron came out and said, next month, hey, next month is a record break. Like that's the record date. From this day, whoever holds AMC, they will be issued 1-to-1 share equivalents of APE. So technically, to me, what that is he was making a public announcement without making an insider trading information, or giving out any insider information. All he had to do was go make it public, a month in advance, a month out. Hey, basically, it's an announcement to all institutes. If you want AMC real shares, that we will technically, at a later date, converge this and reverse it and converge it back into AMC shares. Right now, there might be preferred APE units, but they have voting rights, and we will later on vote them back in. And if you want real shares so that you can take and close your nightmare with, all you have to do is load up on AMC right now. I showed video before, many videos. I've spoke a lot about AQR, for example. You got AQR, a major short against us. They spoke a lot about us, like negatively. And Cliff Asness and whatever, last summer was covering a lot about that. They bought, and I show in one of the lives, how they went in that same week before the issuance of APE, or the record date of APE, AQR went and literally bought up to 600,000 AMC shares. Let that sink in. And for shits and giggles, they have never ever in their entire history held more than 150 to 200,000 AMC shares at their highest ever. So what does that tell me? Somebody wants a lot of apes, right? They want a lot of apes. So they went and loaded up to literally over 600 total of everything, 600 to 800,000 AMC shares. That's why we had that little run up, and not just from AQR, of course, but many institutes were doing the same thing then, because they got the message from Adam Aaron then saying, hey, if you want shares, right now they're going to be apes, but later they'll be converted into AMCs. hypothetically speaking. But he made the announcement. They all bought before the record date. And literally after they got issued apes, because we're not the only one. That's what people are forgetting. Retail investors are not the only one who were issued apes. These people were loading up, these institutes and shorts were loading up on AMC prior to the record date and issuance date. And as soon as they locked in, that amount, they turned around the very next day and dumped their entire, if not majority, of their AMC position. Because they got what they needed. They got their 600 free ape units. AMC was running up. They sold at a profit from AMC. They jumped off of that. They're like, okay, fuck that. We'll come back to you in a few months. In a few months' time, we'll come back to you with real shares. They got those shares for free. They got those ape shares for free. To them, it was for free. It was not derived out of blah, 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 whatever, like their investment. Because to them, they sold, like they bought on the low, because they are using the pump and dump scheme. They are buying at the lower, and then they bought to receive all of these shares of ape, and then they dumped their entire AMC after that. And now they want the reverse stock split and the conversion, because to them, again, if you are a short, let me ask you, let's say you're a short, any of you in here, including you, Mike. Let's have some fun. If you were a short and you're watching and you're hearing, you got the price skyrocketed to $74, $72, and the people you need the shares from do not want to sell. If you're a short, you're hearing all these people saying, hey, we're not selling for less than 100,000 or 10,000 or 2,000 a share. If all these people are saying that, if you get an opportunity now to go through the back window to get those shares that you need, let's say for whatever amount, $2-3 million, would you take that? Would you jump all over that? Because going through that, paying, like, to them, even if they had to lose 2-3 million, is much better than losing 2-3 trillion, right? And that's of course not just one entity, but majority of all the shorts combined, probably. Who knows? Maybe more. No Jets, Green Bay in here. Screw you, Mike. Rubbing it in my face. Damn you, Rodgers. Oh, go Bills. All right. Yeah, I'm in Cincinnati, so that's my second team. The Bills and Cincinnati Bengals are like the best friends when it comes to teams being against each other. It is unfortunate what happened to Hamlin last year here. So the moral of my point that I was saying now is that this was everything was planned for them for all of that. Why wouldn't they take that chance? They will invest and lose or pay a few $1,000,000 as opposed to having to pay, if they get margined, to us, they would have to pay a lot more to buy those shares from us. But instead, they can get those shares now for pennies on the dollar compared to what they would have gotten them from, or what they would have been forced to get them from us. And that's still on the table. Don't get me wrong. That's still on the table, because that reverse split did not go through and that conversion did not go through. Which takes us back to the question to the gentleman that asked it earlier. What do I think about ape? You got to think about all what we just talked about right here, and then make a decision and say, is this gonna go through or not? Because if it doesn't go through, then there's a lot of bad times coming. But in the same time, rightfully so, ape should not be, in my humble opinion, at the value that it's at. And I assume the fundamentalists will agree with that notion, since fundamentally You know, we can't move the price. Retail can't move the price. It's institutes who move the price. So who knows? Did institutes all sell ape as well, and say hell with ape? And Tony Williams, where's anonymous hackers when you need them, right? We need the WikiLeaks. Oh yeah, the Jets are a good team all around. They've just been year after year missing a quarterback. That's it. The most important position. Oh dog, why did he talk about popcorn for 30 minutes? What else can he talk about? Vote yes. Don't send your letters unless you want the yes. Again, as a CEO, that's the corporate world. You got to talk about all that. You got to make money. You got to raise money for the company. You got to do all these things. You got to go to meetings. You got to do these things. Those are all things that must be done. uh, but yeah, but like at the end of the day, again, a puppet does what a puppet is told to do. So our issue is with the entire system, not just with the puppet. Oh dog, so is the judge our catalyst? Well, you could definitely say that. You could definitely say that, because without a judge right here, or without this case, let's not say the judge. Let's say the case is our catalyst. If this does not exist, if the judge is not around, and we're not here, and we don't have a case, the reverse split would have already went through. The conversion would have already been done. So that's the only thing that is taping the arm to the body still. That is the only piece that is holding us back together still. And I believe fully in it. Sorry, I'm just looking at the ambulance again. Wow, people want to spend their weekend, a Friday on a Cinco de Mayo in the hospital. Much prayers to all these people. Let's see. I'm not a Jets fan either. Oh, yeah, we're not. Well, you don't look like you live in Jersey, anyways. Mike. Who's your team, Mike? Yeah, Rodgers definitely needed a fresh start. I mean, don't get me wrong. He is a diva. He does cry a lot. He is a narcissist. But the guy plays. You can't deny the fact that he plays. The guy is, in my opinion, the with some weapons, he's the best quarterback in the league. MVPs don't lie. So you gotta like, at the end of the day. But if you put yourself in his shoes, every year he makes a wide receiver, their organization turns around and ships him off somewhere and sells him or lets him go. And now he's got to go through again with some new rookies. He develops the rookies and then they send them off, and he's got to do the same thing again and again and again and again. So that organization is just terrible. But no one ever asked me, why am I a Green Bay fan? Why is the Bengals my second team? The one and only reason why I'm a Green Bay Packers fan is because it's the only team that is owned by the shareholders. It's not owned by some old crusty individual that that makes the entire city pay for their field, for the team's taxes, blah blah blah, all that crap. No, it's owned by the shareholders, and I love it because it's just beautiful to be that way. I wish every team was like that. I don't like the monopoly of somebody just owning a team, you know? AA should have sold us ape shares, direct right offering. I would have bought them. Oh my God, man. Yeah, everybody's going in on Cinco de Mayo. Whew. Sorry, family. Um, he should have direct rights offering. I would have bought them to pay debt, 3.8 million by 100 worth. He could have done many things, but again, that's why I can't like. That's why he did what he did, and then like again, puppet doing what he's told. Um, that's why many times people ask questions like, how did he come up with this? Like, why did this come up, or how? And it almost feels sometimes that everything he's doing is out to hurt us. Literally, that's what everybody said, and it is, feels like it because it's not only like it's not his instructions, but he's the carry out of the instructions. You know, he carries the news, he delivers. He's the face that has to stand in front of us and deliver that kind of news. Again, not exonerating the guy or not. If you aid evil, you're no lesser evil. It's as simple as that. Oh, dog, choking up popcorn. Yes, I'm Mexican. Let's roll. Happy Cinco de Mayo, oh dog. With the recent public info about City coming up with with them already knowing they would convert to AMC, yet AA marketed to retail as dividend. Do you think that can be brought up in court? I mean, just about any. We're in a situation where we can, uh, because there's been so much fraud and so much like wrongdoing. It's turning or have turned to a situation where you gotta throw so many and see what sticks, and that's similarly how prosecutors go about making cases. They go and like charge you with like five, six, seven, eight, 10 different charges and see which ones stick. Or if you come and say, you know what, okay, I want to go ahead and like take a plea deal. Oh my God, man! May the Lord be with Cincinnati today. God's bless all of us. I lived here most of my years. I've never this many, not this many. Wow, I didn't even know we had this many ambulances. Unless this guy is just going in circles, and I feel bad for the patient. Conspiracy to defraud investors, you think? Yeah, why not? But that needs to be a different class action too. You can make very good argument, and obviously the details are there. If we have the enough resources and the right lawyers for something like that, yeah, that's a different thing. And this is why I believe in the Allegheny lawsuit, the reason why they were moving to settle quick is so that they can finish make sure that there is no they agreed to this and blah blah blah, and they made it on behalf of the entire shareholders or the class shareholders, and then, which is all of us also, we go under that umbrella. That way, if anybody in the future was to come back and try to sue, you can't. So good thing on the chancellor for not agreeing on that, at least for now, and lifting the queue and not giving them their settlement, because that settlement was basically more like it was more like that lawsuit itself, what it shapes to be, or it seems like it was made so that it can seem like, hey, we're doing something for you, you no voters, don't worry, you're not alone, we're doing something for you. And they thought that they can, you know what, we'll make a theatrical show, a story. Okay, we'll give them one share out of 7.5 shares, but we think they're too stupid. They don't understand that that one share is given away to them from their own company. It's not just that every 7.5 you get one share. That's derived from AMC. In other words, you're invested in AMC is derived from you. And all these shills and wrong sayers and blah, blah, blah who quote they do DD and whatnot, shorts are not paying a single dime off that. People are saying that the shorts have to pay for that issuance and they have to pay for the court fees and the lawyers and all that stuff. The shorts don't have to pay shit unless they have to cover or unless a dividend is issued. That is not a dividend issuance. They're not issuing a dividend. That's an issuance of shares. So that's just again to validate and double check on people who try to give wrong info out there and pump out wrong info to manipulate investors in the community. Yep, it's owned by the people. And then they would come after making that settlement, and that's where they put the sword in the bottom. You don't see the knife. They're giving you an extra share every 7.5 shares, blah, blah, blah. We're also standing up for the no people. It's not just making people think that they're on our side, which most of us, we all thought that they were. And the next thing you know, you see that they're trying, settlement, where'd it come from? Here, just take a share per 7.5 shares. Now, if you're a common stock shareholder, because they're listening to us. If you saw the actions of that, they listening to us. They listening to us. They saw that we were not happy with the idea that, hey, we're not satisfied with this. We don't want to lose 90% of our shares and 10 to 1 reverse stock split on AMC, on common stock. So they were like, you know what? We'll do every 7.5, we'll give them one. But that give them one is not really give them one. We will let them dilute themselves from their own AMC, because AMC would have to issue more shares, the amount of shares to satisfy that amount that has to be issued out to the investors. And then we would, in the bottom, we'll put in fine print that basically this will also negate any future counter suits or anything. So basically that's what it was all about. That entire lawsuit was all about that. That's the main purpose of it, in my humble opinion, is to try to make sure they cover their asses after all the dirt has been done. Now we get to make it seem like, somebody's standing up for us, and it's not just so that they can get our voices and get our support, and then we'll give them something like that, and they're stupid enough to accept it. That's what they thought. And then we will wrap up all the dirt that we're doing, and we'll cover it up. It's kind of like digging up a hole, throwing the body in, and then covering it all up with you can't countersuit in the future for anything. So if anybody ever was to go like how Mr. Brother Antonio Williams up here said, can we talk about defrauding investors and all that stuff? If you were to go back into the future and go back and try to sue them, let's say a year or 2 years from now for whatever other purpose, or somebody comes up and sues them for something else, they're like, you can't sue. That door is closed. And I think that's what all that Allegheny crap was all about. Enjoy that, Mike. Enjoy that. You're making me hungry, brother. Enjoy that, brother. VC says that ape threatens AMC common holders. So no merger. Who's VC? With so many parties involved, it's starting to smell like a RICO case. Oh yeah, it's a rotten now. It smells rotten like Rico case. I agree with you. But Rico doesn't come out until Rico wants to come out, or when Rico is supposed to come out. Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, the initials. I didn't. I'm thinking in my head. I was like, "Who's VC? Who's VC?" So the judge again have not made it final yet. It could take a turn for the worst for the shorts and for the board and for the yesers and whatever, whichever, whoever they are. Um, but again, the problem is the only the only point that the fundamentalists or the yesers want to make or dance around, like do the kumbaya fire dance, is around the idea that we don't have as much cash and we're gonna go bankrupt. Without this, we can't go. No, you can't. Like, there's no such thing as somebody has to jump off the cliff to serve the rest, to save the rest. There has to be other solutions. There could be other ways to make sure that we raise cash. In fact, you hear all the people in here. Thank you, D. Robinson, by the way. Mike himself just said in here, he'd be willing to buy Ape if they do a direct offering. You know, and we understand they have to do dilution. We don't have a problem with dilution. We understand they did it in 2021. They did it in so many different times. And it was always picked around times where we needed them not to drop dilute then. But they did nevertheless. We wrote it out with them. There's another stupid notion. Again, the word stupid, sorry. Retract that. Again, that's the third time and final time. There's another notion that says that every time they drop shares, the price goes up. And I think Adam Aaron said it himself. That's another big issue and chill statement. The reason why the price might go up around that time is because no one is selling from this side, and the only shares that are available are those shares. So what shorts are doing is they're jumping on those shares that AMC dropped. So every time AMC issues shares, the price goes up, not because that's not fundamentally how it works. You issue, that means dilute. That means your price should be going down. But the reason why it's going up, because there are so many people that are interested in those shares because they mean the world to them. So they go and buy them, creating buying pressure, which might look like the share price is moving up. So the idea or the notion that it's because of the issuance of the shares that we went up, that's a big fat X. And obviously, if somebody is manipulating, shame on you. If you didn't know, then wow, you watch too many, trust me, bro, I guess. You watch too many AB channels. And you actually don't know much about the market. You just stick it and make it from here and there, and you try to Elliott wave theory. I use a lot of that in my technicals for day trading, Mike. I don't know if it has a different meaning other than that out there, but especially with the the 5 waves and then followed by the ABCs after, to initiate the new start of a new 5 wave. I don't know if that's what you're alluding to, Mike. AMC could have ran today if earnings was after hours. It was running pre-market as FOMO was anticipating great earnings due to all the movies and popcorn sales. But someone how they managed to get 3 million shares and short us down all day. Yes, I mean I like the idea, whether it was before or after. It's still, again, like 5%, 2%, 3%. I don't think we really ran until we really run. Again, just a different perspective on looking on what a run is. They had the artillery or the weapons they needed for the day. And that's good for us. The more they short us, the more that they have to deal with later. You know, if we stick to our guns and we don't get rattled by whatever, we don't get rattled with time. It's been, for some of us, almost 3 years. We don't get rattled by chills. We don't get rattled by CEOs. We don't get rattled by boards. We don't get rattled by Federal Reserves and DTCs and brokers and market makers, SECs. We don't get rattled by nothing. We don't get rattled by shills. So if we continue to stick on that and they continue to do this, they're only digging their grave deeper and deeper. They're digging their hole deeper and deeper to try to climb out of it. And that's when eventually when time comes that they would have to meet their end, basically, or answer to their crimes. Hopefully they have to answer to as many as possible. Hopefully no one would have been rattled out of their ranks and whatnot. And also hopefully that this whole dilemma with the drama with the reverse split and the conversion will be in the past and it's not consummated. So at the end of the day, like, you think on it, like we still, even with great expectations, beaten expectations by a lot, not by a little, by a lot. It was already expected that we were going to be at a cash burn, but it's slowed down significantly as well. With all of that, you would expect that since it's showing fundamentally the promised quarterly earning after earning after earning, then for any institutional investor out there, the writing is in the wall. Now is the time you get into AMC. Not when it's made it out of the waters, when it's in the water, knowing you got to take a chance as an investor, same as institutional investors. You got to take the chance and say, you know what? Yes, this is where I would go. Because I know it's still in the waters, but that's why the value is reflective on that notion. This is where I jump in. This is where I buy, because I know, or I have a huge belief, high percent probability that this will make it out of the water. But when it does, my position would also be completely out of the water. We'll probably be to the moon by then. With ape shares, AA no longer need the approval of common shareholders to do anything, correct? So no merger. So if it's correct, that was one of the other main issues that I had with this. But they had all these preferred shares from all the way since 2000, I think 12 or 13. So it was a matter of time before they would even issue them and put them into play. And clearly, obviously, he's put them in play, and he's doing it. But he could do that with Ape. Now, he can't technically, like, how can it help the shorts? And this is why this reverse split, blah, 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 is important for the merger to happen. It's because if it doesn't merge, then it doesn't help the shorts by anything. Like, okay, so we just created another shit out of another piece of shit. Like, it doesn't change anything for them. They need that conversion so that they can jump right back in a Trojan horse, like, to occupy Trojan city and take over the city by basically accumulating as much of this, convert it back in, and now you got a bunch of common shares to go ahead and do whatever you would like to do with, cover with, dump with, do whatever with, after the return, after the conversion happens. Adam's saying stock goes up when he dilutes. It's temporary. It temporarily does, like you're saying. Shorts eat it up. Exactly. Uh-oh, there's my bike. Yep, like dropping a rock in the pond. Yes, yes, yes. It's severely undervalued. Perfect time for institutional to buy without a squeeze. It's 18 to $25 stock, especially in a bull market. I 1000% exactly. That's my notion, and agree with completely with that. That's just again to remove some of the points that some of the fundamentalists make. They say that we need a catalyst, and the catalyst comes when we're out of the water. No, the correct info is the catalyst don't come when you're out of the water. The catalyst comes, or institutions come, or other investors, even retail investors, even educated retail investors. When you want the most value for your buck, you don't go to Microsoft, you don't go to Tesla, you don't go to Amazon, you don't go to any chip stock like Costco, whatever. You don't go there if you want the most value for your buck. You go there when you have a lot of bucks, when you have a lot of money to preserve your wealth. Those are safe, in other words, somewhat of a safe haven, or the safest stocks. That's why they're called blue chip stocks. They're the safest stocks that you can throw your wealth in. But if you're an investor who don't have too much of, too many dollars, and that's not a shame, nothing shames anybody, right? By the way, again, this is all fiat money. But again, if you're just talking money in the money world and investment world, but if you're looking for the best value of your buck, you don't go looking into blue chip stocks. What are you going to buy? How many Costco shares are you going to buy? By the time you're 50 or 60, if you start at 18 years old, you would have accumulated a good amount. But how many years have you worked from 18 to 50? You probably have gotten your butthole wide open, like from all that work, odd jobs, odd shifts, odd everything, to just earn as many. And they all have been going into cost, like, in a blue chip stock or whatnot, to finally get a chance at having something that you need to preserve in the blue chip stock regardless. But if you're looking to flip, you want to get, rich, and oh my God, may the Lord be with them. So if you're looking for a flip, you need any common sense investor, any retail investor, any institutional investor would go and look at look, he brought her back. Say hi to everybody. What's your name?
G-Unit.
G-Unit. Live. This is my brother, and he's a G-Unit. You see him? Every family's got one.
Every family's got one.
Do I have your permission to put you on live? Don't sue me.
They're gonna make a lot of money.
Don't sue me. See, he said I'm gonna make a lot of money. But yeah, people. So that when people are looking, or any investor, whether institutional or retail or anything, if you're looking for the value of your buck, best value of your buck, you go looking for troubled sources or semi-troubled sources, but you look at their finances and you look at their trajectory, and you got to make your best educated guess. There's no such thing as 100% investment unless you're a hedge fund manager or an institutional manager like Antera. There's no such thing as 100% unless you're Antera. They will definitely, like, wow, Antera files an 8K filing with Adam Aaron. Less than 5 minutes later, a few minutes later, AMC's price is at $1.23 from 68 cents. Wow, right? So again, that notion is just that you buy when they're completely out of the water, when they have no depth, when they made money and they're making money. It's too late then. You're jumping in for what? You're jumping in at a high price, and at that point you're buying in high. You're no longer using fundamentals of buying low and selling high. So if anybody needs any catalyst, the catalyst is the production and the way that AMC is doing quarterly, on a quarterly basis, on quarter after quarter. That's for sure. The reverse split and specifically also the convergent is their way of diluting their exposure to retail. And of course, yeah, I understand they don't like it that they could that retail owns most of it. So if it pops, we all could sell and it could drop at any given moment. But even then, even if we were to, let's stick with, I like to sometimes use some of the weapons that people used against me or us, to use it back against them and see how they fare. The same weapons they use. So they like to use fundamentals, right? Wow. Lord be with these ones too. So the fundamentalists like to say that again, institutions don't wait, of course, for retail investors to invest so they could go make their investments. But yeah, they also do mention, I've heard it around, and I can see the notion where they don't want to be here because we control most of the stock. And again, to them, it's all about the money. So if they see money, right now is the opportunity for them. So if they need to make money, right now is the time. They jump in now at these evaluations, and when it goes up now, of course, you gotta remember that institutes, they don't look at the outlook the same as us. So for institutes, while we might look at a squeeze in whatever 1,000 a share, 10,000 a share, or whatever amount that you see for a share, institutes don't look at anywhere near that world. Institutes, they look at percentages. They jump in. If they recouped 60%, 80%, that's a win of the year for them. I mean, I would even be surprised if they're still around when they go past that. But also, you got to remember that institutes are also very smart individuals. They know if they can make a lot more money out of something and it's a sure thing, why would they devalue their own thing unless they have something else to gain? They always, one thing you got to remember is they always squeeze the lemon for every droplet that it may contain within it. They will never leave anything left in it. The peel, I looked at the process of how they slaughter cattle and stuff. They use everything: manure, the tail, the skin, the organs, the meat, the everything, the head, everything. So they never leave anything left on the table. Anyways, family, I don't think we have any more questions, and we've been here for 2.5 hours. That's a long time. I haven't done a live in a long time, and I just wanted to catch up and get my fill in again, and make myself apparent again on live, and see how the family is doing, and everybody's doing great, as I see. If anybody has a question, please put it on here or put it in the comment section of this live after it posts, and I will answer them in videos to come, maybe tomorrow or after. I will be doing a lot more lives, hopefully coming up soon. It's just a matter of time, and we'll see how it goes. What is this? I see that it says something about Says there is a message that's held for review. I don't know. Is there any shills in here or something? But anyways, I will come back to you guys tomorrow. Like I said again, if you have any comments or any questions, please put them in the comment section when the video posts. And I'll basically much love to all of you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Cinco de Mayo. If you're participating in any activities, please be safe. Hopefully you don't end up in any of these ambulances you saw that were nonstop in this live. And again, like I said, much love to all of you guys. Brk-a, JD, Incognito, Past Manager, thank you, much love. Thank you, brother, appreciate you. Mike the Marine, thanks for showing up, brother, appreciate you. It's nice of you to join. And remember, family, don't let a fundamentalist fundamental you in the fundamentals world. Always stay sharp and be ready to counter any of these points, you know. So hopefully I've addressed some of these points that they try to use as little small tiny weapons to manipulate people. Hopefully you can remember those points yourself, and when somebody tries to use them against you, whether on Twitter or YouTube somewhere, you have a response. That being said, much love, AB Investments.